Okay, what I'd like to do now is kind of share with you my version of how do we think about how much of things can we use in the classroom. Again, I want to put the ISTE Standard for Teachers number 4 out in front of you, because as we continue on with the course and you're doing different projects and so forth, you might want to think about, what projects really align themselves well with this standard, because it's using, you know, um, technology in a legal and ethical way, respect for copyright, intellectual property, and the appropriate documentation of resources. So again, really important. If ISTE puts in this as a standard, then, I think this is something that you have to kind of pay attention to as a teacher, not only the students, and then we want to model that for our students. So with that, let's kind of start in terms of, what can and can't you do. Number one, we'll just talk about illustrations and photographs, okay? It's very, very easy to go out, as you know, to like Google Images, grab them, and so forth. We need to show you the little trick in terms of when you go to Google, how do you get the citation for those images? And that's just kind of in the menus, but we'll have to remember to do that and do that soon. But to follow copyright, what you're supposed to do is you should not use no more than 5 images from one artist or photographer, or who's ever taking, whose ever images there are, you shouldn't use more than 5 from one person. Okay? If you go to a collection, and this doesn't mean when you do Google Images and you search and there's your collection with hundreds of, this is more like the examples up here, those are art photographs from a collection of campus photographs. So if there were 20 photographs in that collection, I could only use 10%. So I could only really use 2 of them. Okay, so again, 15 images, 10%, whichever is less. So in that scenario, it's less. Okay, so keep that in mind. What I don't break this rule. What I usually tell teachers, and I'll tell you the same thing, I would just have students use no more than 5 from anything. If it's a person, if it's a website, all that, just, have them, if you've grabbed 5 from this place, you need to go somewhere else to find your photographs. Kind of break it up. I don't use the collection as much because those are harder to define, especially in the elementary, but at least you know what copyright says about that. On last Thursday, you had a few questions, and so now what I'm going to help you with is, okay, what is the right answer? And again, now you should probably already know the right answer, but this was a student in an instructional technology course, might be you, who went to a website, and great primary resource website, and used just tons of images, 30 plus images from the website in his digital movie project. Is he allowed to do that? Okay, again, rhetorically, unfortunately, I can't see you with your answer and so forth, but hopefully what you would say now to this one is no. Okay, again, when you start grabbing a lot of images from someplace, go someplace else. Get into that routine. One thing to kind of keep in mind, this does say primary resources. We have great historical websites such as the Smithsonian, those kinds of places, and just read what they say. The Smithsonian, you can use as many as you want, as often as you want. Cite them, but you can use them. So then again, you could go with the 30 plus images and it would be okay. So there are exceptions, but just be clear on when those exceptions are. What did you say to this one? Just to give you the results of your little test last week. Um, Basically, not quite over half of you said no, that you can't do this, which is really the correct answer. So 20% of you said, yeah, that should be okay. And 34% weren't quite sure. So now you should kind of have the solution to that one. Motion media, showing DVD recordings. This one's a very, very interesting one, and I think what I'll do is I'll use um, the example of our question to help with this one. You guys, the definition of this, so if I want to show a videotape, DVD, now it's videotape, or excuse me, DVD, but it has to be used for instructional purpose. You cannot show a DVD for recreation or for a reward, okay? We have all been in that scenario. As a student, I have been in it as a teacher, where we say, just like this question, I decide we've had a great week. I'm going to show a DVD cartoon animated feature on Friday afternoon and have the kids watch it. You guys, this is one of the largest mistakes that you can make, okay? And this is the one that you're going to bristle at, because it's like, no, that, you know, teachers have done that forever and I want to do that too. Legally, you cannot do it. And we can discuss this one more in class and so forth, but basically what they're saying is that it's a reward, it's recreational, it's you have your students there to teach. You should be teaching them curriculum. They should be actively engaged in learning, and it's not to, you know, take them to a movie on Friday afternoon. Now, where you can be creative, and this is what I feel like I did when I was in the classroom. Like one example, when I was teaching second grade, we watched Charlotte's Web. Well, we watched Charlotte's Web, the whole animated feature, but we were using the book Charlotte's Web in our classroom. So I was doing a whole class literature study on Charlotte's Web. We had all kinds of activities supporting my learning objectives. And as they watched the movie, and then what do you think they did? They compared the movie to the book and did a compare and contrast. So how is it similar? How is it different? Then it becomes an instructional part of your classroom. That is legal, okay? But this, rewarding and just watching a movie because, you know, the kids are tired, I'm tired, it's not good enough today. You know, it's just not good enough. And it breaks copyright. So this one, we really need to work on this in terms of our mindset, okay? 88% of you said this is okay. And I know why you did, because you've experienced it, you've witnessed it, you've been a part of it, but now you know, no more. When you're a teacher, you're going to build those types of activities right into your instructional plans, okay? And then it's fine. Then it's just fine. Okay, and again, I would think you would have an administrator that's a little bit curious why you're showing, you know, second graders a 2-hour movie, you know, or something like that. So make sure you communicate with them as well. Motion media. This is the second part, using a video. Okay, so this is more, I'm making a movie. Here in a few weeks, we're going to have you make a movie. And in that, you might want to pull video from a TV show or a movie or something, you know, a home movie. Home movies are a little bit different. You're the owner, so you own that. But basically, all you can use from a video is up to 10% or 3 minutes, whichever is less. You guys, using 3 minutes of a TV show or movie, especially when you're making a project, that's a long time. Okay. A good example of this is, I don't know if any of you, probably not, I know you're busy, but last week IPTV had a movie on the Roosevelts, and they were doing it, I believe, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and I caught some of it on Friday night, but outstanding. Outstanding. It was done by Ken Burns. And so if I wanted to use some of that Roosevelt, I could, but I could only use 10% or 3 minutes. And Friday night it was on for 2 hours. 2 hours is 120 minutes. So 10% of 120 minutes would be 12 seconds. So that's all I could use legally. Okay, so these are where the amounts come in. You got to be very critical or very aware of how much you can use of something. Music and lyrics, that's kind of the same thing. Music and lyrics, this is kind of a hot topic all the time. It's the same as motion media, up to, not quite, but 10%. But in no event can you use more than 30 seconds from a musical work. You guys, this is one of those areas too that, we kind of take for granted all the time, and, we just pull in a movie. Now, what you do on your personal wedding videos and all that, most of those break copyright, okay? But, I'm not being judgmental on that. I want you to do the right thing while you're in your classroom and modeling for your students, okay? But if I was making a music video in my classroom, I can use 10% of a song or 30 seconds, whichever is less. You guys, usually it's that 10%. 3 minutes, 3-minute song, that's 180 seconds. 10% of that is 18 seconds. And you cannot repeat it from the front to the back, okay? You can use it once, okay? But this makes, when kids put things together, they, mix it up a little bit. And so that's a good thing. So question 2, asked, open house, did a slideshow with kid pics, wrote a sentence description. The teacher puts the music in, so she imports the entire song to play while it's playing. Is it allowed? Yes. Educational purpose? No. No, she can just use 50% of the song and then repeat it, or no, which is the example that I gave you here. This is 2 minutes, but kind of the same thing. So basically, this one I was really pleased. Most of you got this one right. Notice still 32% of you said this is okay. Not at all. Okay, so again, you can use the movie or you can use the music, but you just have to use how much of it. Okay. A little bit on playing on the classroom. I'm just going to touch this a little bit. I'm going to use this. This is something that I found online. Notice it's older, but it's still kind of the same. Notice they can't spell legal, but I couldn't change that. Teach music in a public school. Is it legal to play a song for my class I have downloaded from iTunes? Okay. May I mix a CD and lend it to another teacher to play for a class? Guys, this one's pretty easy. Iffy. iTunes store, say the tracks are for personal use only. So by strict reading, no, it would not be allowable to use them in the classroom. However, fair use provisions may apply. What they say is consult district attorney or administrator, that kind of a thing. So I just put it out there. We all want to play music in the classroom and so forth, and just be aware of it. I wouldn't not play music, but be aware of it. The second one, that's easy. May I mix a CD to lend to another teacher to play for her class this year? No, that would be disallowed by any measure, because again, that is taking away the profit. She should be downloading her own, paying for her own, and then using it as such. Okay? Okay, so I'm going to end with this. All of this is really in there. You guys, the text material is in there. it doesn't affect us quite as much, but read through it, okay? You will be responsible to know it, and we can follow up with that in class too, okay? So that's now fair use. Now you know the amounts, okay? So we're getting there. One last part that I'll do with you really quick is attribution or citations.